Morning all. It is the 26th of February and look, a glorious day, forecast dry all day. So who am I to argue with that? So join me. I'm going to spend the day in the garden. Let's see what we get up to. I'm starting off with some mulching. My mother always says 5 barrow loads of mulch a day and you'll get it all done. And she's right. So I'm going to do 5 barrow loads of mulch. Partly because she's right, but partly because the taps are still frozen. It was very cold last night and you can see the frosty space behind me. So I couldn't do any watering if I wanted to. So let's let the water defrost and get 5 barrow loads of mulch done. I'll take you up to look at the roses in a minute. Next on the list, I'm planting some lovely beaded iris. Now, this isn't the ideal ground for them, but I'm a great believer in experimenting. So I'm putting them with their tuberous rhizomes facing the sun, barely burying them, so that you can see the rhizomes on top of the soil, and underneath here is actually concrete. So it's a bed I've made outside my back door, and we'll see how they do there in the heat. They may do all right. If they don't, I'll move them. You've got to experiment. Just because your garden isn't designed for something doesn't mean you can't have it. You can always try. Now I'm just checking on my little seedlings. So these seeds were all sown on the 13th, 14th of February, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 20 trays, 4, I know this is quite niche thrills, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the 20 have germinated. I'm not going to do anything to them. They're all on nice hotbeds. I'm just checking on them. They're not big enough to prick out or do anything to. Some of the surface looks a little bit dry, but I'm not going to even water them because it only looks dry because it's the middle of the afternoon. Tomorrow morning it won't look dry when I check again. If I did want to water, I'd water them, I'd put them in a tray and water them from underneath. Right, onwards and upwards. Next job, I'm watering the Polytunnel. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see. These are hardy annuals which will flower. Oof, well, we'll see what the spring does. But at some point towards the end of April, and they're all fattening up quite nicely. A big mixture, things like Amy-Major's larkspur, Chinese forget-me-nots, wild carrot, Levatera, Vacaria hispanica, that sort of thing. We call this patch the lady smock, and there's plenty to do up here. So the pruned roses are all having a nice mulch. This is Dalefoot compost, mulching away, and my 12-year-old daughter has been helping out with this today. If ever there was a job suitable for a 12-year-old, barrowing mulch is one of them. And then I've been cutting down the perennial grasses, make room for new growth. Snip, snip, very good work for the old biceps. And then while I'm up here, I've been measuring space where I'm going to take out perennials that I didn't use last year much, or I've taken out a few roses which were past their best and looking a bit tired. I hadn't used them for a year or so. It's really, really important. They look like nice borders, but actually I have limited space. So I need to make sure that I'm maximising the space I have. If I'm not using something, I'll get rid of it and use that space for something else. I may have a small order of perennials to plant, so I've got to make space for them. Do you want to see how I make space? How I measure? I'll show you. This is really not sophisticated, but it works well for me. A long stride of mine is about 1 metre. And so I measure like this. Imagine I was about to rip out all my holly. I'm not, but imagine. I would measure like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how I know how much space I've got. Very sophisticated and technically adept, I think you'll find. Yes, it's true. A gate is not just for keeping the rabbits out, but for hooking your tools over. With any luck, I'll remember that's where they are. Now here's a good toy. This is my old hater mower. I've had her since 2004 and she's still going strong. She's long since lost the guard at the side and I very quickly gave up collecting the grass at the back, so I mulch as I go. She is a hardy little doer, this one. I'm very fond of her. Come with me and I'll show you what she's been up to. So I am a very big fan of a little midwinter mow. So late winter. It is the 27th of February today. And while I would never recommend that anybody mow their whole garden at the end of February, because there are vast amounts of small creatures living in the tufty grass, but also because if you walk around on grass in the winter when it's not growing, you will quickly make a real quagmire. But we start our in-house workshops again the week after next. We have our first flower farming career change day here on the farm, and so it's always nice to sort of tidy up a little bit before the students start coming. We have probably 30 days through the season from March to the end of September, beginning of October, when we have students here, possibly one day, not necessarily one day a week, but something like that. Yeah, actually it's going to be one day. So anyway, it doesn't matter. We have a lot of students and people coming to look at the gardens and so on over the summer. And while we keep a very wild garden, which is why we have such a lot of wildlife, it is nice to have a tidy patch from time to time. So my trusty old hater, I've put her mowing disc quite high. So this grass is still quite long, but I've just given it a tidy, and it's very nice because I feel as though I've got my garden back. This is one of my bulb beds. I love this bulb bed because it is also spread through with late summer perennials. So the bulbs are just coming up and they'll flower first, and then as they die down, I have Verbena bonariensis, Salvia uglinosa, and all my phlox, my perennial phlox, are in this bed. So the bulbs die down and all the late summer perennials get going. I haven't cut all of the late summer perennials down yet because there are a lot of people overwintering in them. But I might in the next few weeks. nearly there, just to let the bulbs through. It's like mini forest gardening. Anyway, it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I still have some time. Look, at least 2 hours of daylight, maybe not useful daylight. A pair of birds buzzing by. It'll get dark, so dark I can't see shortly, but I've still got time to put on a few. I'm going to put on my little scented pelargoniums that have overwintered in the greenhouse, and then you will see what I've done over a weekend. And I have to say, I've identified at least 16 metres of bed that I can fill, luckily, because I may have ordered some perennial plants. There's a robin. And I've mulched most of the roses, or rather my daughter has. The polytunnels have had their first proper major water since the end of the autumn. and everything's already going, oh thanks, I really could do with that, thank you very much. And there's still masses to do, but I feel as though I've made a start. There's nothing like a sunny day at the end of winter to make you feel like the sap's rising and you got to get on. Okay, let's see you in a minute. I love this bulb bed. Look, wild bluebells all the way down here, some alliums. The sticky bits are the perennial phlox, and as we get further down we turn into this little silvery scilla, which called Star of Bethlehem, which I really love. And then going around here past the pheasant feathers. Clearly the pheasants have been using this bed to have a little wash, a little dust bath in. And here's the Verbena bonariensis. We could do the cut down soon. Some rogue foxgloves. And look, colour. The little grape, the first of the grape hyacinths. Tiny little faces popping up there. Very happy to see them. There is nothing like a good weekend in the garden to make a person look really hairy. We've had some quite good weather. Right, look. Do you remember I took cuttings at the end of last year? You can scroll back and have a look. These are my scented pelargoniums. Not all of them have taken, not all of them have lasted the winter, but some of them have. And this is the exciting part. Look! Oh, yes. See the root systems that they have developed? So I'm now going to take these healthy little plants and pot them up so they've got their own pot and they can grow on a bit through the spring, still in the greenhouse. And then at the end, when we're past the risk of frost, they will go back in my pots outside my back door. So look, 3 little plants, lots of nice root systems. I'm going to just pull the plants apart. They should come apart quite easily, look. If you let them sort of untangle themselves, they will. They're happy root systems. And I've got a pot here. I'm going to, you can't see what I'm doing. That's very low grade. So I'm making a nice hole in the middle. I've just got ordinary peat-free compost. This is Silver Grow. I'm afraid you can't get Silver Grow in America or Australia. But here in the UK, it's very easily obtainable, readily attainable. And actually, I'm going to make a slightly bigger hole. I have overfilled my pot. There we go. There is one happy little plant taken from a cutting last autumn. Just fill my pot up. And I will be careful not to overwater this still. And I will water it now from underneath. So there you go, peat-free compost. I don't care what any world famous gardeners say about whether it's a good idea to use peat-free compost. I disagree. It is very important that we as gardeners set an example to the world and all the other industries that use peat-based anything, that we are above reproach. And so we will not use anything peat-based. This is peat-free compost. I do everything in peat-free compost and it all does jolly nicely. There we are. Right, lecture over. 4:30 on a Sunday afternoon. Might take the dog for a walk. All the excitement. Anyway, I hope you've had a lovely weekend and I wish you much in the way of happy gardening. If you've enjoyed this clip, please do subscribe to the channel. You can click the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got new clips coming out. And if you find any of the tips or tricks helpful as we go through, then please do buy me a coffee. The link for buying coffees is in the blurb for all my different clips. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you soon. Bye.